This happens all the time. So why do we get angry when it happens with Blackpink?
땡땡 코코투.
Hi, welcome! So since the beginning, Blackpink have been compared to our Lord and Savior's 21. Their music sounds similar, their fashion is quite uncanny. Each member of Blackpink can be paralleled with a member of 21. YG's sketchy intentions. So in today's video, I wanted to take the time to really dive into this issue, look into the similarities between Blackpink and 21, the actual similarities, the, heart-wrenching stuff, and really talk about why people feel this way and why it might be a bit of an exaggeration. So please hear me out, or don't. I mean, I'm not above another scandal. I do want to point out that, of course, Blackpink are their own group with their own distinctions, and if you'd like a video on how they are quite different from 21, then let me know in the comments down below. However, this video will focus on the sentiments people have towards Blackpink being a copy of 21 and why they might feel that way given YG's history, and also given things we've seen in K-pop historically. So let's get started. Actually, I'm going to stop you right there to remind you to subscribe to this channel and click that bell to be notified. And if you'd like to help the algorithm, then please comment on this video and share it with friends you don't have. I am of the opinion that similarities are not inherently wrong. If you just look at a lot of pop culture, it's really hard to be really innovative and original because there's just so many things that have already been done before. So for me, when I talk about similarities, a lot of people take offense, but at the same time, I hope you understand that it doesn't have to be intrinsically bad. I think the most important similarity that people get upset about is the sound of their music, notably Blackpink's music and how it's very reminiscent of 21. When you listen to Blackpink, you inevitably get this feeling that you're actually listening to a 21 song. I mean, this is the case for some people. Some blinks might disagree, but some blinks probably aren't annoying second-gen stans. Just putting that out there. But having similar sounds shouldn't inherently be an issue, and I don't think it is inherently an issue for some songs to sound like another song. But again, having a similar sound mixed with the sentiment behind 21's disbandment is really what rubs people the wrong way. People are inevitably left to think, well, what would this have been like if 21 did it? Was this an opportunity taken away from 21? The comparisons themselves are inevitable, and this is all by YG's creation. Let's touch a little bit more on this aspect of having similar songs, or songs that were meant for 21 but were given to Blackpink, as if that's something that is lower, something that's, shameful. This is actually quite a common practice in the music industry. You will see a lot of songs were meant for one artist and then given to another artist. I don't think there's really, supposed to really have any hard feelings or bad feelings associated with that. This happens a lot. You can find a lot of YouTube videos where they show you, the original song and then the artist who it was given to. For example, in Queendom, Bom revealed that Ihai's Scarecrow was originally her song, and she even recorded a music video for it. So when people say that, Blackpink songs are just discarded 21 songs, they are really trying to bring Blackpink down, when in reality, it's just common practice. I mean, don't get me wrong, I sure as hell love joking about it and have said some juicy stuff on Instagram Live that I'm really glad Stan Twitter has not gotten a hold of. But I mean, it just is what it is. So why do people get so mad when it's Blackpink that has the songs that were meant for 21? Because of YG. Predictable, I know. I've said this time and time again. YG wanted a pretty version of 21, and he made no effort to distinguish them. So with that information in mind, of course, people are going to be upset. If 21 were still around, I really don't think Blackpink would get as much hate for being, the copy group. But again, given this whole setup that YG had created for Blackpink even before they debuted, he brought this onto his own group. And I think it's incredibly unfair to put that onto Blackpink, but I do think that's actually what he wanted. So as 21 was disbanding, he released a new girl group that fed off this 21 nostalgia so much, and that's what got a lot of people into Blackpink. I was interested because 21 was gone and there was a new girl group, and I found a sense of familiarity within them. And dare I say, I found some comfort within that familiarity as well. So rather than getting angry right off the bat and hurt right off the bat, I just was happy that Blackpink debuted. I was happy to find something familiar. I was happy to, find, elements of 21 that I loved within this new group. But this isn't, again, something new in the industry. This happens all the time. If we take a look, all SM songs sound the same, in my opinion. Listen to some Super Junior songs and listen to some EXO songs and listen to some NCT songs. They all have a lot of similarities. I find the choruses in a lot of SM songs are just a lot of harmonizing. And you can almost just tell by listening to it that it's an SM song. And from one group to another, they kind of seem interchangeable, like when they created Super M. Jopping feels like it could be an EXO song. It feels like it could be a SHINee song. It feels like it could be an NCT song. It feels like it could be a Super Junior song. Mind you, most of those groups came together to make that song. But do you know where I'm going with this? There's this sense of interchangeability among those songs, but I don't think it gets as much backlash as Blackpink does. So if we look at each company, of course there's going to be similarities in sound, in dance, in style, because they all use the same people. They're all having the same producers. They all have the same stylists. There are even intercompany similarities. So I was really hurt when I found out about Twice originally, because I thought, my goodness, this is way too similar to Girls' Generation. I'm not into this, etc., etc. I was very, very much a stereotypical second gen stan back in the day. I still maintain some of those characteristics, but I've grown from it. But now I understand that, concepts are constantly being recycled and you can't expect everything to be new because it kind of doesn't exist anymore. To be fair though, a lot of these companies do tend to be more subtle with the similarities. Well, YG admitted that he made absolutely no effort. But I do really think that as Blackpink have gotten further into their careers, they have indeed started to distinguish themselves a lot more. But let's keep going. TXT's Runaway was even quite reminiscent of a BTS song in terms of fashion and certain dance moves as well. But I don't think they get as much hate either because they're friendly with each other, because they have interactions with each other. A lot of fans imagine what it must feel like for 21 to see other people who are considered the prettier versions of them singing and dancing songs that might have been meant for them. So when it comes to comparisons, I get it. The way 21 disbanded was heartbreaking. It really shouldn't have happened the way it did. But on the other hand, I also kind of feel like this would have been just the natural progression of things regardless of 21's disbandment. YG would have released a new girl group whether or not 21 disbanded, right? And I feel like the similarities would have been the same. And I feel like the inspiration behind Blackpink would have been exactly the same whether or not 21 disbanded. Because that's what companies do. Companies, feed off the popularity of their previous groups to make sure that their newer groups succeed. And that's not shade to anyone. So when it comes to Blackpink, yes, there are similarities. But if you look into anything deep enough, you will find similarities with pretty much anything. And again, I think these similarities, had things ended differently, could have been cool Easter eggs or cool connections between the two groups had 21 not disbanded. But given the way things happen, I feel like those same similarities often have a very negative light. And we're left with these harsh sentiments towards Blackpink for something that they themselves did not do. So yeah, that's basically all I had to say. I'm really curious to know your guys' opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? Are you very much convinced that blackjacks are just over-exaggerating? I wouldn't put it past me, but Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and click the bell to be notified. You can also follow me on my second channel and Instagram. I'm gonna go cry in a corner now. Bye!